Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Lots to cover today as we get ready for postseason play for Duck softball. Senior day now behind us for Oregon softball as well. Duck baseball getting back late last night, early this morning, depending on how you want to think about it, from their trip down to USC. We'll break that down. Also some updates on some pro Ducks. Women's golf is in action in the postseason because it is postseason for Oregon women's golf beginning today. We also will talk a little bit through the Oregon twilight as the Pac-12s are on the horizon this weekend for Oregon track and field. A lot of updates there. The surplus sale was this past weekend. Did Scott go? What are you doing? I want everyone to know that I asked Scott for one thing, and that was to get me a new bucket hat.
When was that?
Last week. And I said, Scott, when you go to the surplus sale, I need a new bucket hat. You get sweaty during the season with the bucket hat. The bucket hat is real gross looking after one full fall camp and one full spring. Then it gets relegated to being your river hat. And then eventually it just gets so disgusting that you retire it. And I don't know what just happened. Our helmet started moving. Hang on. There we go. Had to prop our helmet back up. See, the helmet was jealous of the bucket hat. Actually, I have a backup bucket hat in the closet. But Scott, you had one job, dude. One. The surplus sale, though, was awesome success. Awesome success. We're going to talk through that. Your Facebook comments and questions. I will go through the resumes for postseason. I know a lot of people are thinking about that right now. You know, it's not just me that's thinking. I've been getting a couple fans and asking like, okay, so the resume breakdown. What does this mean for Duck softball? What does this mean for Duck baseball? Should we plan on traveling? Well, I'm going to take you inside the show a little bit right now. Okay, before we went on the air, me, Ryan Milano, and Scott Phillips were literally sitting here planning out how the heck we're going to broadcast everything over the next few weeks, because here's how the schedule goes over the next few weeks. Duck softball is in the Pac-12 tournament. We know that they're going to play Thursday at 6:30, so set your calendar reminders. Ryan Milano will have a 6:15 pregame show on KWVA. That sounds good. Softball tournaments, this is the inaugural Pac-12 softball tournament. We're going to talk about that. I really like the Pac-12 softball tournament. Oh, Ryan's putting his headset on. He has something to say.
I'm just waiting for you, but
Oh.
I'm excited for it.
No, I wasn't going to ask you anything.
Okay, well, keep doing your show.
Thank you for directing the show today, Ryan. Really glad you're here for another couple of days.
I'll just stay back here.
And then Ryan's going to travel, the voice of the Oregon softball team. Who's going with you, actually? Austin Oda is going to be with him. So a two-person crew for KWVA. The point that I'm getting at is the tournament starts this week. It's the inaugural Pac-12 softball tournament, and I will give the Pac-12 credit. Last year, the baseball tournament, I thought they tried to play too many games in one day. And it made it really difficult for the teams that played later in the day because you were on the air later than you thought you were going to be. The batting practice. I mean, athletes, all of us, are creatures of habit. And the Pac-12 made adjustments to the Pac-12 baseball tournament because game times can be differing in length, right? Though this year, the game times have been significantly shrunk. Now, in softball, they pretty much always fit in the 2-hour window. So I think you're going to go on at 6:15 for the KWVA pregame show is the point that I'm getting at. But anyway, Ryan's going to be on the road for that. Ryan is now the bullpen option for Duck Insider this time of year. And so we were like, okay, Ryan's going to be in town, not this week. Now, next week, still hoping that Oregon softball is hosting a regional. I think that the projections right now have them somewhere in the 14 to 18 overall seed range. At least those are the projections that I've looked at. With that in mind, the softball team may be at home. You might get to see the Ducks at the Jane a couple more times, or they could be traveling for a regional. So we were sitting here thinking about, okay, well, if Ryan's gone next week because the regionals aren't in Oregon, but they're going to be, and then I'm on the road Wednesday, Thursday, Friday because of baseball in Salt Lake City with some weird game times. It's a 10 a.m. Pacific time first pitch on Friday the 19th for Duck baseball. So that means no Duck Insider that day. And then we were like, well, what do we do Wednesday and Thursday? And anyway, this is your Inside the Show opening segment. I got told by somebody, I did a rant once to open a Monday show that, similar to this week, it didn't go the way that the Ducks had hoped on the Diamond this weekend. We'll talk about that. But I got a comment from somebody saying, you know, you should do more of like the Joey monologue and not just like the Duck monologue. Then I heard from somebody who said, no, we didn't like the Joey monologue. We don't want to hear about like your existential experience of being a father and what that's been like for you. So I constantly am wondering how to open the show on a Monday when things don't go well for the Ducks. Though, shout out Wyndham Clark. He made over $3 million this year. Pro Ducks! Let's go, Wyndham Clark. In fact, I saw Casey Martin just in a meeting just now. The Oregon men's golf head coach, I sat down. He always asks me, a lot of the coaches do, like, so what's on the show today? You know, what's happening? And I sit down and I said, well, you know, I really don't know how I'm going to do this yet because when the diamond sports struggle this time of year, it makes it harder to talk about the positivity. You know, Monday's show is a lot more fun when the Ducks win, just like the broadcaster sounds a lot better when the Ducks win. So I said to Casey, I go, yeah, you know, but I got Wyndham Clark, and he goes, oh, well, let me tell you, Wyndham Clark deserves an entire segment on the show. And I went, you know what? You're darn right he does. Because the Pro Ducks, and shout out to Casey Martin and the Oregon men's golf team, every time we think that the men's golf program maybe is taking a dip because they played in back-to-back national championship matches, won one of them, and then were the runner-up the next year. Wyndham Clark was on that team, by the way. Every time Casey Martin's team, you think, you know, maybe it's a down year for the Ducks. Nope. They go and make regionals. That team is traveling on Friday. They're going to play a couple times, and then regionals begin next week for men's golf. Regionals are already underway for women's golf today, and we'll have updates for you on that. They already are off the course today, and then they will tee off at 5 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. You know why I am not a golfer? 5 a.m. tee times. Alex Stimson's not a morning person. He golfs, but I've never been a morning person, probably never will be. My son, after 9 months, has not converted me to a morning person yet. I don't think it's going to happen. But I get the sense that maybe that's why I'm bad at golf, because I don't get up early and golf like when you're supposed to. Anyway, this brings me back to Wyndham Clark. It is so awesome to see like Aaron Wise, Wyndham Clark, Norman Zhang, all these guys that are on the PGA Tour now, and I got to thinking about this and talking with Coach Martin just now. The Pro Ducks ranks have grown so much over the last few years. And it's not just men's golf, right? It's across sports. Oregon baseball was tied for the most graduates on major league rosters to open the season with like Florida and one other team. Now I can't even remember. It was 8 or 9 Pro Ducks have now, this course of the Major League season, have been in the majors. Okay. Oregon softball. You're seeing Gwen Savekis make the national team. You're seeing players like Janie Takeda-Reed get inducted into the Pac-12 Hall of Honor. You're seeing the sport of softball grow at the professional level, just like volleyball is growing at the professional level. You're getting all these Pro Ducks, and it's become easier and easier to follow the Pro Ducks that are overseas. It's become easier and easier to follow the Pro Ducks that are in those tournaments that maybe aren't the headliners like the Masters or the U.S. Open. But you win the Wells Fargo Championship, and that's a $3 million paycheck for Wyndham Clark. You know, I don't know that I do a good enough job on this show of talking about the legacy of Oregon athletes. That's part of why, as I've talked about at the spring game, I love the fact that the spring game is like Oregon football reunion. You know, Dan Lanning has made it an event to bring back these pro Ducks that are succeeding in both their sport and beyond in life. I got thinking about it. Like, Wyndham Clark today, when look, both Coach Waz and Coach Lombardi would tell you the weekends didn't go the way they wanted. And so on this show, my focus is usually like, hey, let's talk about the good times for Duck athletics. You know, there's good times on the diamond. There's some history that was made for both teams, actually, this weekend. But Wyndham Clark probably isn't on everyone's radar today. You know, you saw the Go Ducks post. You saw that Ryan just showed that graphic. And you're probably listening out there like, Joey, you are completely going off the rails here. But no, hear me out. Somebody like Wyndham Clark, why would I put that as like the fourth thing that I talk about today? It's a little bit of recency bias for me, right? I'm so engulfed in here's what happened in baseball, track and field, women's golf, men's golf, like softball, all these sports that competed this weekend. But then there's so much other stuff going on around Oregon athletics, all this auxiliary stuff, which brings me back to the surplus sale. The surplus sale is such a cool event. It brings me to the fact that it's senior weekend for Oregon baseball, and there will be families coming to town. It brings me to the fact that Aaron Payne, who is all over Oregon's record book, one of the winningest Ducks in Oregon baseball history, and he's now a firefighter and a father of two, and he came to the series against USC, and seeing Jack Martyr, Brett Thomas, Daryl Hunter, his former teammates, go up and give him a hug. I don't think I talk about that stuff enough. Wyndham Clark won his first ever PGA championship event this weekend. That's a pro Duck moment that should be the headline of today's show. Shout out to Wyndham Clark. That's awesome for him to come away with a big-time victory like that. And now here's to a few more current Ducks, maybe future Ducks that see that and go, huh, that worked out well for him going to the University of Oregon. We think it's a pretty cool place. And that's how we lead the show today. When we come back, I know a lot of fans want me to talk about Jay Stoffel. I know a lot of fans want me to talk about what Oregon softball's resume looks like moving forward. And that's what we're going to do, and we're going to hear from the coaches that you care about next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Thanks to Casey Martin, though, for that conversation today. Because Coach Martin was rushing from said meeting off to practice, by the way. You know, that's what happens around here. Like, we all have these meetings, and then it's like, go! That's what happens all the time. So this weekend, Oregon baseball down at USC, a lot to review. So I think about this a lot heading into a baseball weekend, and it's difficult for me on a Monday to fully review baseball's weekend. And you know, like on this show, we want to, if you missed Friday's game and you tuned in a little bit Saturday, Sunday, like I'm aware that a lot of fans are doing that as they drive around the community. Maybe they've got events to take their kids to, they've got, you know, social gatherings, whatever. Like you're going in and out, you know. And so part of what I like to do at this point in the season is give you the full context of the weekend. So we're going to start with Duck baseball. We're also going to do that for the Oregon Twilight, for Oregon softball, Wyndham Clark, and a whole lot more coming up. So on Friday, Jay Stoffel did not start. This is where you need your breaking news sound effect. That's a breaking news sound effect? Could anyone hear that? Yeah, no. We've talked before about how we need like a sound effects board that Scott can use, and I think that this was the moment. So Jay Stoffel didn't start. I don't mean to like make a joke of it, but what I mean is that if you just looked at the scores from the weekend and you went, wow, Oregon lost to USC 2-1. Well, the Ducks didn't have their guy who's won Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week 3 times. Here's why. So Jay Stoffel didn't start. Leo Ullman got the ball. Gave up 3 in the second and 3 in the third. 4 of the 6 runs scored after either a walk or a hit batter put them on base. Free bases tend to come back to haunt you. They did in that game. Free bases really hurt you. And that was my biggest takeaway from that start. You know, if those 2 walks and 2 hit by pitches don't result in runs scored, that game's actually 3-2 instead of 7-2. A little bit different feeling, isn't it? Especially because at one point in this game, the Trojans got out to a 7-0 lead before the Ducks chipped away a little bit on Friday. And at one point in this game, Drew Cowley gets a base hit. Colby Shade rounds second and stumbles. I don't know what happened. Like if he hit the base weird or if he tripped on the second step, stumbles. The throw comes in from right field to the cutoff man, the shortstop, and the shortstop turns to Colby Shade, who's like crawling back to second base and goes, "Oh, let me just tag you out, sir." And that's what he did. So that resulted in the second out of the inning with a runner at first instead of 1 out in the inning and runners at first and third. Game was tight at this point early. So then Sabine Ceballos comes up and he flies out, and you're like, whoa, it's a fly out to end the inning. No, that should have been a sacrifice fly that would have gotten the Ducks the lead at the time. The lead, I think it would have gotten them lead. Yeah, it would have gotten them lead. So those are the little things that can add up in a baseball game. Here were some of the others. Dylan McShane, a really good 3 innings of relief on Friday. I thought he took a huge step forward. That was great to see from Dylan McShane. And then Riku Nishida. Some history for you here. He hit his 5th home run of the year, which I still think he kind of surprises people that he's hit 5 home runs this year. It was the day before his birthday, by the way. So he wears number 56. His birthday is May 6th. Coincidence? He also is 5'6". I mean, I can't make this up. This is like, trust me, he's 5'6". His birthday is May 6th. He wears number 56. Is it for both of those reasons? I've heard conflicting stories, actually, around the program. Anyway, that was Oregon's 76th home run as a team this season. That's a program record. On May 5th, The Ducks still have like a month left in their season, hopefully longer than that. And they've already broken the program record for home runs in a single year. And they've got a month left. Drew Cowley later in the game hit the 77th home run of the season for the Ducks, the reigning Pac-12 Player of the Week from last week. Drew Cowley was just really good. His 12th home run of the year matched Jacob Walsh for the team lead. Really impressive stuff from Drew Cowley. So, some history made. The Ducks have hit a program record amount of home runs this season. You'd like to break a record in a loss. Or in a win, I should say. But instead, the Ducks broke that record in a loss. A game where I thought Oregon made too many mistakes on Friday night, a 7-2 loss. The offense struck out 15 times. 15 of the 27 outs were via the strikeout. So that means that you only forced the Trojans to make 12 outs on defense. The numbers just don't add up for you. So that was a big focus. The Ducks talked about that on Friday night. And, you know, it was a little bit of a funky schedule. So the Ducks played at 6:30 on Friday. Then they played at 6:30 on Saturday and then at noon on Sunday. Normally it's 2 o'clock on Saturday. That longer wait in the hotel, I kind of felt antsy. Like, I was ready to get back to Dato Field. I can only imagine how the guys felt. So Oregon needed to bounce back, and Logan Mercado was on the hill, and I thought Logan Mercado really competed in this game. Gave up a few solo home runs, but you're going to have that happen. But he didn't really walk anybody. Again, limiting the walks. Ducks gave up 4 runs based on walks and hit batters on Friday. They got better on Saturday. Sabin Ceballos hit a solo home run, his 12th of the year, and at that point, 3 Ducks have hit 12 home runs on the season. And the Ducks scored first. I thought that was a big key on Saturday. The Trojans proceeded to hit 3 solo home runs, the aforementioned ones off Mercado, to lead 3-1 through 3 innings. But the Ducks, it was so odd to see Sabin Ceballos, and you look at him, and then you look at the 8 other guys in Oregon's offense through 5 innings. Ceballos was the only guy that had any hits, and the Ducks had a couple walks, but there was a lot of offensively you thought, man, this team's capable of more than this. So then the Ducks got it going in the 6th. They finally got the offense going, even the score at 3. USC responded with a pair to take a 5-3 lead. Then the Ducks got 4 in the 7th to take a 7-5 lead, and they did it with 2 outs. 2-out hitting. It's so important in college baseball. Drew Cowley hit a ball that was in the opposite batter's box. I'm not kidding. Like, if I'm Cowley in the lefty box, all he did was throw the bat across the plate. The ball was in the other batter's box, and he hit it down the right or the left field line. Now, in the box score, that's a hard hit line drive that went 100 miles an hour off the bat. In reality, I think it went about 20 miles an hour off his bat. Who cares? It scored 2 runs. You know, that's why I think Drew Cowley is so good. He puts the ball in play. He fouls off pitches with 2 strikes all the time, and then he still is hitting home runs and doubles and knocking guys in at an historic rate. Drew Cowley is now in the top 10 in a single season in runs batted in, and he's not very far from breaking the single season RBI record. And it's early May. Okay, more on that in a moment. The Ducks got 4 in the 7th to take that 7-5 lead with 2 outs. Tanner Smith doubled to right center to score 2 more, and it was a huge moment. And I thought Tanner Smith really articulated it well, was the team leader that we kind of expect him to be when he talked about that hit postgame that ultimately evened the series.
Big 4-run 7th inning. You were a big part of that. Just talk me through that at-bat and that big double.
Yeah, I think that inning the team just kind of decided to really unite, come together, and play for one another. And specifically that at-bat was just dedicated to all the other guys that were in the box with me and in the dugout with me.
So Tanner Smith gets the biggest hit of the day. And what does he say? Well, that at-bat's dedicated to the entire team in the dugout. I mean, what else do you need from a guy like that? I mean, that's awesome for a guy who has rewritten the Oregon record book, broke another career record this weekend. More coming up. Matt Dallas, Grayson Grinsell, Josh Maleris finish it off even the series. You feel pretty good, I think, heading into Sunday. It's the rubber match. More history. Riku Nishida stole his 19th bag of the season. That broke a single-season record for stolen bases that has stood since 1965. Yes, I know that there was a hiatus for the program for about 30 years, but Don Banderas in 1965 stole 18 bags, and Riku Nishida just stole his 19th. That's a single-season record for stolen bases. That happened on Sunday. But apart from that, I'm going to be honest with you. It was a bad start for the Ducks. USC scored 6 with 2 outs in the second. Remember how I was talking about how 2-out hitting is really key, and Oregon took advantage of that and won a game? Well, USC scored 6 with 2 outs in the second against Matthew Grabman. They scored 4 with 2 outs in the fourth, and the Ducks were down 10-1 heading to the fifth. Every single run scored with 2 outs. Drew Cowley and Sabine Ceballos, though, hit back-to-back home runs to make it 10-3. That was on Sunday, 17th straight game with a home run. That matches a program record that the Ducks set last year. Now, earlier, I want to point something out because a lot of fans were confused about this. Earlier in the season, we had a box score note on GoDucks.com that indicated that it was a program record that the Ducks had broken last home series. Well, in fact, it was the second most home runs in a consecutive game. 17 last year, the most home runs in a consecutive game. We had a misprint in the box score notes. So it's the 17th straight game with a home run. Currently, that streak is active. That matches the program record from last year. And with Cowley and Ceballos hitting those back-to-back home runs, it was really funny. Cowley hits his 13th of the year, hit 2 this weekend. And then Sabine Ceballos, the very next at bat, hit another one as almost like, no. Drew Cowley, you are not going to be the team leader in home runs. So now both those guys have 13 and Jacob Walsh has 12 as individuals. The Ducks were just down too big, though, on Sunday. They lost 11-4. Grayson Grinsell went 2 innings and had 4 strikeouts. He was the real bright spot. That was the 6th weekend series that Grayson Grinsell has pitched twice in. He's really developed, Grinsell has, into that consistent bridge guy to Josh Molaris, I think. I really think the future is bright for Grayson Grinsell. So no Jay Stoffel on the weekend, if you're just joining us. Mark Wasikowski I asked him on Saturday. We asked him again Sunday, do you want to give an update? A lot of fans are curious. Jay Stoffel, I will tell you, he was on the trip, and Mark Wasikowski said on Sunday that it was precautionary, nothing serious, but he didn't pitch this weekend. He was on the trip, though. Now we'll find out what the Ducks do this upcoming weekend against Washington. But, look, you guys that have listened to Mark Wasikowski before, you have an idea of what he's going to say after you drop a series 2-1.
Yeah, disappointing. We got beat by the better team today, and on game 1, we played well yesterday, and we were able to come out on top. Just didn't do enough good things this weekend to win. We need to get back onto the practice circuit this week and get things righted to where we can get things going back again downhill for the next couple of weekends before the Pac-12 tournament.
Mark Wasikowski, the Duck head coach. And now it's Washington coming to town, and the conference standings get a little bit interesting. But now, more history for Tanner Smith. Tanner Smith moved into first all-time in starts at Oregon. Pretty darn cool, huh? Oregon career starts leader. 230 career starts on Sunday. Broke the previous record held by J.J. Altobelli from 2010 to 2013. He's all over the Oregon record book. The last one that he has a chance to break is probably the career home runs record. He's got 29 in his career. The program record is 30. It's already a modern era record for Tanner Smith in home runs. But you're not in the record book as much as he is without that record right there. He's already got the program record for consecutive starts, and now he's got the program record for the most starts in Oregon history, 230 of them, and he's got more coming. You can't break records if you're not playing. You can't break records if you're not consistently in the lineup. You can't break records without fighting through some injuries, adversities, the nicks, the dings, the bruises. That's what Tanner's done. Congratulations, Tanner Smith. That's pretty darn cool. Now, the resume. What does it look like? Well, the Ducks were the top RPI team on the West Coast entering the weekend. They're not now. Stanford is. Maybe the good news is for the Ducks that Oregon is the second highest RPI team on the West Coast. Stanford is 14. Oregon is 26. Now, the RPI on the West Coast, in baseball especially, it's not a fair indication of what your resume looks like because there's just not a variety of teams to play on the West Coast. You think about how many teams South Carolina can bus to, and then how many teams Oregon can bus to for midweek games. There's not many. So, for example, it's Kentucky, Wake Forest, South Carolina, LSU, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Duke, Boston College, Indiana State, Virginia. That's your top 10. Notice where all those schools are positioned. That's where the RPI doesn't really work out if you're on the West Coast. But Stanford did get a big series win over the weekend. So, what are the Pac-12 standings like now? Stanford is at 18-6. Oregon State is at 16-11. Arizona State is at 14-9, and then Oregon is 14-10. And you know who's right behind the Ducks? Washington at 13-10. Remember, I've been saying this like every Monday. Arizona State and Washington had a game get canceled earlier this year. That's why the ASU and Washington game totals don't line up. Right now, if I were a betting man, Jody Sykes, I am not. That would be a compliance violation. I think Stanford, Oregon State, and Oregon have the best chance to be the top 3 seeds in the Pac-12 tournament. The Ducks have to take care of business at home against Washington, but then the Ducks finish with 11th place, which is really 12th place because Colorado doesn't have a baseball team. Utah is in 11th place. They're 8-18-1. They're 11 games back of first. The Ducks finish at Utah next week. There's 2 regular season weekends left. So it's Stanford, Oregon State, Arizona State, Oregon, and then Washington is within striking distance. So here's why this is a huge, huge, huge game on Friday. One, it's the Ducks' birthday. HBD to the Duck. But also, Washington smells blood here, Duck fans. The Huskies are coming to town, and they're like, we can jump Oregon in their own ballpark and get a top 3 seed in the Pac-12. This is a huge weekend. So some practice days for Duck baseball, and then back at it. I think Stanford's going to win the league. The Ducks are 4 games back of Stanford. They would need a lot of help for Stanford to drop, and the Ducks would have to win a bunch of games. I think Stanford's going to win the league. Oregon State finishes with a non-conference series. That's when their bye week fell for the Pac-12 scheduling. So the Beavs are going to be, to use the golf example, in the clubhouse heading into the Utah series for Duck baseball. Oregon's going to know exactly where the Beavs sit. Arizona State, Washington, Ducks would have the tiebreaker with ASU. If they win this weekend, they'll have the tiebreaker with Washington. Ducks are sitting at 14-10, and I think a top 3 seed in the Pac-12 is very much in play. And that top 3 seed's a big advantage for when the Ducks go to Scottsdale. And now the resume, will Oregon host a regional? They were projected to host entering the weekend. We'll see how some of the projections shake out this week. You take care of business, though. Finish top 3 in the league. Finish with maybe a top 20 RPI. I think you like the Ducks' chances. There's baseball. Break time. When we come back, Duck softball. Reviewing the weekend, senior weekend, and some history made by Allie Bunker. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can go out and make memories that make summer, summer. Like catching a road game in a RAV4. I got it!
Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only. Event ends May 31st. Dealer inventory may vary.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can go out and make memories that make summer, summer. Like catching a road game in a RAV4. I got it!
Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only. Event ends May 31st. Dealer inventory may vary.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. So Duck baseball losing the series at USC, now getting ready for Washington. Well, Oregon softball losing the series to Utah in a top 25 matchup at the Jane. The Ducks now heading to the Pac-12 tournament. We'll get to that. But again, I want to put it in context for you. Oregon made a handful of highlight reel plays on defense, and maybe even more than a handful. Watching the highlights, because the Ducks were on, they were playing the same time for softball as they were for baseball, so I didn't get a chance to watch the game live. The Utes ultimately prevailed 3-1, a 3-run inning that was the difference there. But the defense was incredible. Coach Lombardi said as much post-game. Like, the defense did a good job of bringing momentum. The Ducks just didn't, maintain that momentum, it felt like, on Friday. And I thought, after looking through, reading what Coach Lombardi said, I thought that game was, on Friday, a little bit of an example of some of Oregon's games from very early in the season. Remember when the Ducks were making these highlight reel plays, and we would show you on the show maybe the not quack video quality of live stream from early in the softball season, and you couldn't quite see how incredible a play was, but you knew that it was incredible. I was glad that, the video this week, actually, you could, see, wow, that's incredible. So with that in mind, though, I felt like it was kind of like the offense didn't get going. Early in the year, a lot of times it was Allie Bunker, Tara McGowan, and go Ducks, I kind of thought that Friday game felt like that for a variety of reasons. So then on Saturday, though, Allie Bunker hit an historic home run. Tara McGowan also hit one out. Wasn't enough, though. Utah, the offense came alive for the Utes. They won that game 8-2. But Bunker's home run, which came with one out in the bottom of the 7th, was her 10th of the season. That makes Allie Bunker the only player in the nation to hit 10 or more home runs while striking out 7 times or fewer each of the last 3 seasons. Okay, let's put this in context for you. 10 home runs. You show some power. She's hitting what on the season right now, Milano?
She's north of 400.
Yeah, she's hitting 400 on the season. I was hoping it was still north of 400 after the weekend. The only player in the nation to hit 10 or more home runs, and she struck out 7 times or fewer. The old adage, I suppose, in diamond sports is that you've got a power hitter, well, they're going to strike out some, but, they get less hits because one swing scores a run and they get 4 total bases instead of a hit that's 1 total base. No. Allie Bunker that's why she got drafted to go play professionally coming up later in her career. I'm amazed at the bat control and the power that she continually has on display. And really, at 8-2, I don't know that score does this game justice. Here's why. It was a real pitching duel between Stevie Hansen and Sarah Ladd for Utah in the early part of the game. And Oregon loaded the bases in the bottom of the first and couldn't push a run across. You hate the fact that the first inning felt like the key to the game. If Oregon gets a hit there, suddenly maybe Utah's like, we might need to go to the pen, make a change. I thought that was a big deal. And it felt like a missed momentum opportunity after it was a low-scoring, gritty game on Friday. Felt like the Ducks had a chance to put up that crooked number and then couldn't do it. Now, Stevie Hansen was really good throughout the game before the Utes ultimately got to her. A home run in the top of the 6th that made it 3-1, and then they added 5 more runs in the 7th, and that put it out of reach. So on Sunday, huge game. Conference standings, so much on the line. Oregon heading into the weekend could have been anywhere from the 2 seed to the 5 seed with the way that Stanford and Washington were playing, and it was just, if you're one of those like scenario breakdown what-if people and you want to do a what-if chart, which I think Ryan did, it was like maddening. Anyway, it didn't go well for the Ducks. Oregon got no hit on senior day. Credit to Utah. You know what? Where's my cap? No, I don't have a cap. Tip the proverbial cap to Utah. From what I saw, Ryan called the game. From what I saw, it was a really stellar pitching performance. Really, no mistakes.
Yeah, Mariah Lopez for Utah was just really good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, if you're the Ducks, as you're going to hear from Coach Lombardi coming up, yeah, tip your cap, but you want to win that game. So what does that do? The Ducks are now 35-14. They're 14-10 in conference season. That's where they end up. The Ducks will be the number 5 seed for next week's Pac-12 tournament. They will face 4th-seeded Stanford on Thursday at 6:30 in Tucson. 6:15 pregame show on KWVA. Ryan Milano is going to have the call from the student radio station, voice of the softball team. And then you'll be able to tune in on Pac-12 Network as well. Oregon also on Sunday, and you hate the bittersweet side of this, right? Oregon honored its 5 seniors. Kyla Morris, Chris Ornelas, Kaylin Howard, Allie Bunker, Tara McGowan. Over 1,900 fans at Jane Sanders Stadium, many of whom stayed around to celebrate the class of 2023 in spite of some rain showers that caused a 16-minute delay in the 7th inning. Fans, awesome job. You know, this crew deserves so much. Like, you think about Allie Bunker, and, you know, you've heard Coach Lombardi talk about version 5, and it's the 5th version of Oregon softball. And, you know, that's what Coach Lombardi has talked about, that every season's a new version. You know, you're building on it. And the Ducks deserve to be celebrated for the season that they've had so far, and the careers that these seniors have had. It's always bittersweet on senior day. You know, you always want to win on senior day, but if you lose, it's still a tough moment. Now, we hope it's not the last games at the Jane. Ducks still may be in a position to host a regional here down the stretch, but I think they probably need to get a win or two in the Pac-12 tournament. A win over Stanford, avenge that series loss from earlier in the season, could be a big deal. Now, here's an interesting note. Of the 16 runs scored in the Oregon-Utah series, 15 came via the long ball. The home run changes the game. That's why Allie Bunker is so unique. She doesn't make an out, and she still hits 10 home runs. Doesn't make an out at the plate. And Reagan Breedlove has allowed just 4 earned runs in her last 27 innings of work. Coach Lombardi, I think, bittersweet postgame on Sunday after the loss to the Utes.
Well, it's about as tough a way to end a regular season. Between what's at stake and just you guys don't get no hit. I mean, that just doesn't happen. What do you feel like was the issue, not just today, but really all weekend offensively?
I think just this overall weekend was a tough weekend that we had to really push through. I liked our energy today. I loved how we competed. We just, in the end, they did a little more to win the game.
So you have to play Stanford, probably face Vaughter again. Obviously, you guys were in every one of those games, so confidence for sure. But coming off of a tough weekend offensively, how do you try to circle the wagons over the next 3-4 days?
I think we just continue to trust our process, trust who we are as a team. You know, our season, our conference is officially over, and now postseason starts. So,
realizing that who you get in a conference tournaments by draw and who wins and those sorts of things. But in terms of for the NCAA, how much you have to hope a little bit, or is there a concern about left-handed pitching after this weekend in particular?
I don't think so. I think we just had a rough weekend. We had some balls that we hit hard that were hit right at people and then didn't get some breaks, and just it was a tough weekend. So again, I trust who we are. I trust what we've been doing all year, and I'm excited for us to compete in the first Pac-12 tournament.
Kind of a quick hook on Hansen today, but I feel like Reagan kept you guys in the game.
Yeah, she did, and I mean we've been working as a staff all year. So I thought Stevie threw well. We had a tough one that went out, but then from there for Reggie to come in and to keep the ball in the infield and on the ground and let her defense work behind her, I really like how she went about it today.
This moment for the seniors, their celebration, just what were the emotions like for you?
Yeah, just a lot. It's bittersweet. Obviously, we still have things to do here. We're not done, but, to know that this is their last year with us and know that they came in when I came in, I appreciate them. I appreciate everything that they've done on and off the field for this program. I appreciate the legacy, the culture, the leadership, everything that they've brought to Oregon softball.
Any chance of Elise next week?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Is it getting to a point of, I think if she returns, it becomes harder potentially for a medical red shirt at that point. So how much does that have to become a consideration here? That like much as you may want her or need her, that if you return her, that option may go off the table.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that we'll just have to figure out when we get to that point.
Coach Lombardi, we're hoping to talk with Coach Lombardi this week. The Ducks are traveling tomorrow to the Pac-12 tournament, again Thursday at 6:30. Now, resume. We were talking about that with Duck Baseball. Oregon is number 17 in the RPI after the weekend. Stanford is a little higher than that. It's an opportunity maybe to get a win against a good RPI team. Stanford's number 3. UCLA, who the Ducks could possibly get then in the next round of the Pac-12 tournament, number 2. Opportunities are in front of them. You win a couple of those games, Ducks are hosting a regional. Might win the conference title, too. We'll see. That's what's on the horizon, though, for Duck softball. Going to get a timeout. I want to go through the Pac-12 tournament a little bit, hear from Reagan Breedlove, and then what else happened around Oregon athletics. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here in the Country Financial Studio. So the Pac-12 tournament, the standings are now finalized for Oregon softball and the rest of the Pac-12. The Ducks are going to play Thursday. The inaugural Pac-12 softball tournament begins on Wednesday, following UCLA's victory in the conference at 21-3. Washington's the 2 seed, Utah the 3 seed after a 15-9 campaign. Stanford 14-10, Oregon 14-10. So it doesn't really matter who the 4 or the 5 is there. The Cardinal have the tiebreak. That's why the Ducks will face the Cardinal coming up on Thursday as the 5 seed, but doesn't matter. The winner of the UCLA and the play-in game between Arizona and Arizona State. Arizona State in the play-in game will play UCLA at 4 o'clock on Thursday, and then Stanford, Oregon at 6:30 on Thursday. The winner will then play on Friday at 7:30. Utah and Cal, Washington and Oregon State are the morning and early afternoon session on Thursday. All the Oregon games are on KWVA. You can get the hometown call with Ryan, and all of the tournament itself is on Pac-12 Network. Now, I think Reagan Breedlove is a not just key, but a huge key to this tournament, because you're going to have to keep pitching kind of on a momentum here, right? You don't want to overuse people. In the way that Reagan Breedlove has been lately, man, she's been solid. Has allowed just 4 earned runs in her last 27 innings. Shut down performances from Reagan Breedlove. She talked with the media postgame on Sunday following the loss.
How'd you feel like you did today?
Yeah, I think we came out really good. I think just as we planned. I think, like I always say, just letting my defense work, just rolling ground balls, letting Paige, Taya, all my defense work. So I think that was really good.
How different a spot are you in, even mentally, in terms of confidence in your stuff heading into, I realize it's the first conference tournament, but like at this stage of the season this year compared to a year ago? Like how much more confident are you?
Compared to last year, I think my confidence is through the roof, and that's kind of just the reason why I think just cruising along is a lot easier for me. Coach Lombardi plays a huge role in that, just helping boost my confidence, just staying in the bullpen, staying warm, and then coming in and just relying on my teammates to just help me out and just lift me up.
What's led to that, Reagan, in terms of what are the things that make you more, obviously the results help, but like what has led to that? What are the things that have helped you be more in command this year, just an all-around better pitcher this season?
Yeah, I think trusting myself has been a huge role as well. Just having the confidence in myself, like as well as my teammates, but trusting myself to get the job done and feeling the trust from everyone else that I'm going to get it done has really went a long way for me.
As you guys enter the conference tournament next week, how much do you yourself have to be just mentally prepared differently, where the goal is to keep playing multiple days, and the longer you guys go, the likelihood that you're out there goes up, I would imagine. So just what is that like to approach mentally, where you just guys haven't had to prepare for a conference tournament before?
Yeah, I think throughout the week we're going to get ourselves ready for sure. No matter who we face, I think just playing the faceless opponent and just going out and finishing it. For our seniors, we didn't do it this weekend just how we wanted for our seniors, so I think finishing the season for our seniors the way we want to would be huge.
This moment just here for you, just celebrating them, what did it mean to you?
It was huge. I mean, we didn't finish maybe exactly how we wanted to, but I think we all feel each other's energy and feel the love for each other. I think that's the most important thing to us and to them especially.
Describe Allie as a teammate, what she's just means to this team. Off the field, around everything else. We know what she puts up statistically, we know what she plays defensively, but just what does she mean to this group?
Yeah. She's a true leader, like on and off the field. I mean, if you have anything and you ask anybody anything, you go to Allie. She's been so helpful, like even coming in as a freshman, she was just kind of like a go-to person. I think for all the freshmen, everyone just kind of leans on her, looks to her. She has all the answers for your questions. If you're concerned about anything, she's the person to go to.
Good teammate. Reagan Breedlove talking there. I think that she's a huge key in this Pac-12 tournament. Thursday, 6:30, the Ducks in the Pac-12 tournament against Stanford on the softball diamond in Arizona. When we come back, your Cafe M 2-minute drill. A lot to cover around Oregon athletics. We'll revisit Wyndham Clark. Big day for a pro Duck on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. Time for the Cafe Yum 2-minute drill as we look through Oregon athletics. Earlier in the show, we talked to you about Wyndham Clark, so this was cool. Steve Tannen sent me this, our buddy from 95.3 The Score here in Eugene, and Steve was like, no, this is a huge deal. Beyond winning the title and the money for Wyndham Clark, it earns him his first invite to the Masters, also the PGA Championship. He's also in the Players Championship, plus exempt from other events, plus his tour card is secure for the next 2 years after this. Really big deal. Career changing. Good job, Wyndham Clark. Pro Duck took home quite the purse from the Wells Fargo Championship this weekend. Oregon Twilight, Oregon track and field team collected 8 wins and added a new top 10 program performance Friday. The winner's circle, Shayna Grebo in the 400 meters, Matthew Erickson in the 800 meters, Ella Nelson 800 meters, Alex Slenning in the 1500, Madison Cannon in the 400-meter hurdles, Tori Sloan in the high jump, Minnie DeClark in the discus, and Shelby Moran in the hammer. Now, the Ducks' first win of the day came from Shelby Moran in the hammer. Already part of the program's top 10 in the event, she strengthened her hold as the number 3 performer in Oregon history. Climbing that leaderboard. Love to see that from Moran. Now, the Ducks, I think it was overall a successful Oregon Twilight. Final regular season meet of the outdoor season. The 2023 postseason begins with the Pac-12 Championship this weekend. It's in Walnut, California. My hope is to talk with Jerry Schumacher on the show coming up this week. We're going to try to find a time that works with his schedule before they travel down to California. Now, the surplus sale this weekend. This is cool. If you didn't see the video, thanks to all the fans who came out, because the Oregon surplus sale, now we've talked about how this works. You know, there's a process. You're in line. Our guy, Aaron Wasson, the head of the equipment operation, he pulls out a ticket. He gives you that first ticket. And then it took some time to walk through and find which fan had said ticket, because there were so many people around the surplus sale. It was so cool to see. And really awesome to get the reaction from the fan. And this is what we're going to leave you with on the show today. Just listen to the reaction here from the fans being like, wow.
First time here, literally just looking for a helmet, ticket got pulled, and never got a trash bag and all the opportunities.
Trash bag of duck gear. That's how we end the show today. See you tomorrow.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.